the Girl Means Business podcast. I'm your host, Kendra Swalls. Over the last few years, I have built a business that allowed me to quit my 9-to-5, spend more time with the ones that I love, and live my best life. Now, I'm sharing everything I learned along the way with you. Each week, my guest and I will share actionable tips, tangible advice, and honest conversations to help you build your dream business. So get ready to take notes and put in the work, because this girl means business. Hey there, and welcome to our Leap Year Special Edition episode 44. We are talking all about marketing strategies, healthy habits that will lead you to marketing success. This wraps up our series on healthy habits, and I thought it'd be a good wrap-up conversation because this interview is basically the end-all be-all of marketing strategies. Lee Caraher is an author and a CEO founder of a PR marketing company. She's a digital marketing expert. And through our conversation, she gives us basically the roadmap you need to build a successful business through marketing. One of the things I loved about this interview was just how open and honest and real she is. I love that she is just herself. And you can tell that that is one of the reasons why so many companies want to work with her, because she definitely brings out the best in everybody she chats with, including myself. So I'm excited for you to listen to this episode. So let's jump into my interview with Lee Caraher. Hi, Lee Caraher. How are you?
I'm good, Kendra. How are you? I'm so happy to be with you.
I'm so excited you're here. I'm so excited to chat with you. So I want you to start by letting everybody know who you are, what you do, and how you came into the business that you have now.
Oh, my goodness. So my name's Lee Caraher, and I'm a CEO and a mom and a wife and a sister and a daughter and a friend. And I am a CEO of my own company, which is called Double Forte, which is a public relations and social media firm. We're based in San Francisco. We have offices in New York. We have people all over the place, including Sacramento, Los Angeles, Boston, and now Eau Claire, Wisconsin, which is where I have just moved to. And my agency is, I think I said 17 years old. I started it because I needed to. I'm the breadwinner in my house, and my husband is our chief home officer, and my mother had gotten sick, and it was very clear that I needed the freedom to be wherever I needed to be, and I needed the mechanism to earn a living. So I started my business like that, built on really 20 years of experience in communications and public relations. So it wasn't new, but it was my own money, which was very different. Mm-hmm. How I got into this business, I have a degree in medieval history, which is very useful. From Carleton College, which I just loved that school. And my friend Ramona, I didn't know what to do after school because my history department said, go be a historian. And the music department said, go be a singer. And I was like, well, I'm not really good at doing just one thing. And those things require just dedication, hours and hours and hours. And I thought I was so interested in those topics, but as part of a melange, not as part of the thing.
Right.
So my friend Ramona, I was in despair. And my friend, I think you should try PR. I'm like, what is PR? She said, well, it does this and this. So I went over the job counselor space at the college, and there was a book, What is PR? So I read it. And I was like, oh, I can do that. Basically, because I didn't know what else to do. And I was so fortunate that I found this career so early in my life, because it is what I'm really good at. And I've been able to create this company that lets me do it the way I like to do it. And, also put a roof over my family's head.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So wait, hold on, back up. I just kind of glossed over that. Medieval history was your major?
Yes.
That's so amazing.
So Carleton College, it's in Minnesota. It's a great school if you don't know it. And I went as a pre-med. My father is a retired cardiac surgeon. I'd worked in his labs my whole growing up. And I was going to be like my dad. And then I went to college and I hated chemistry, like with a burning passion. I'm like, I probably shouldn't do this for the next 8 years of my life. And I was taking a class as a freshman called Chaucer's England, which I failed I got my first F in college. in the first week of college. It was only my only F, so that's good. But it was so interesting. And my Professor Phil Niles, he had such an amazing way of teaching. And I'd always been interested in King Arthur, and I already read all those books. And I was hooked that day. I was hooked when I got my F, and he explained why, because we all failed. There was nobody who passed. So I decided to do that. It's Carleton's a liberal arts college, and the philosophy of liberal arts is just fine, learn. So I did that, and then I waited until I had to declare in college, which was at the end of my sophomore year. I called my dad, and I was so nervous to tell him that I declared history and medieval history. And he said, "Thank God." And I was like, "What do you mean, thank God?" He goes, "I don't want you to have this life. It's so terrible." What has happened in medicine when I was in college, it's becoming much more litigious, all this kind of stuff. And he was very fortunate in his career, really not getting, just so fortunate. But to start in the medical career, you're so in debt. And, he's like, he didn't want it for me.
Yeah.
And he didn't want me to do something for him that I thought he wanted me to, but I said, well, you could have told me that. But anyway, I love medieval history. I still read medieval history. And basically, people say, what does that do for you? Well, the study of history helps you understand, articulate a point of view, defend, identify it, defend it, identify it, articulate it, and defend it, which in public relations, social media is what you do all day long. You identify a point of view, you articulate it, and then you defend it and propagate it. So it has held me in great stead.
That's amazing. So when you went into PR, that wasn't obviously what your degree was in. So you had to be self-taught. So how did you end up finding jobs in that industry when you didn't have a degree in that?
Well, there weren't very many. There were journalism. I'm that old, Kendra, just so you know. The public relations degree is relatively new in academia. They had journalism degrees, communication degrees, but mostly around broadcast journalism or journalism in general. So here's what I did. So my parents at that time lived in San Francisco. I had grown up on the East Coast. I was in the middle of the country, Minnesota. It was very chilly that year. I said, well, where am I going to go? And I decided to go to an agency because agencies are really built, agencies are really built to train. They are motivated to get you better and better and better and train, because the higher up you go, the more you bill dollar-wise, right? So they're built for training. And I thought, well, I don't have any training. I probably shouldn't do that. As opposed to go in-house. There's just not much training in-house. And then I identified 4 places in the country that really had the most options for agencies: New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Boston. My parents lived in San Francisco. They were separated at the time. They came back together 3 times. And I was like, I'm not going into that. I was scared to death of New York City. It just the whole idea scared me. Chicago was in the same snow zone as me, and I came from Boston. So to Boston I went. I called my father's best friend, who I used to babysit for his kids. And he was a big, very, prominent business lawyer in Boston. And I said, I want to go into PR. I wonder if you could advise me and to help me get an informational interview. He said, yes, Lee, I will, but I will after you write me a letter explaining why I should.
Ooh.
So I did that, and then he sent it back to me full of red. He goes, this is not going to work. I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, so I redid it, and he said, yes, I will help you. And then he set up 13, visited him and his family, very, very, it's an extra family for me. And I stayed at their house for a week. And in that week, I had 13 informational interviews. Of the 13, I was offered 6 internships. And I took the one that paid me the most, which was in high-tech PR, which was just starting. So here I was, a medieval history major going into high-tech PR. And the rest is history, basically. That's how I got in. And basically, agencies, it turns out, I got an excellent training because that's how they're built. They're built to train. They're still built to train because even if you have a degree in PR, until you know what it feels like to get shut down 99 times out of 100, you got to learn how to negotiate. You got to learn all these things. It's really a training on the job kind of job. And I feel so fortunate because I ended up being good at it and I actually like it. and it fits my personality so well.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you've been listening to the Girl Means Business podcast for any amount of time, then you know my love of email marketing runs deep. Not only is it a great way to generate new leads, but it's one of the most effective methods for nurturing warm leads and turning them into sales. Now, over the years, I've tested several email platforms, and my favorite by far is Flowdesk. Not only do they make email marketing simple and easy, even for the technically challenged, but they have everything you need to create stunning emails, capture leads, make sales, and automate the entire process, giving you time back in your busy day. And the cherry on top is you're only charged one flat fee no matter how many subscribers you have. So while other platforms will increase your price when you go over your pricing tier limit, Flowdesk has no price increases or hidden fees. If you're ready to give Flowdesk a try, click the link below in the show notes to save 50% off your first year. Let Flowdesk help you design emails people will love. Click the link below and check it out. I have a feeling you're going to love it just as much as I do. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, I think that that's a lot of what entrepreneurship is self-taught. You know, a lot of people, most people I know who started businesses, that's not what they went to college for, you know, and you have to be kind of motivated and driven to learn something new. And clearly to make a career out of it, you have kind of dove into that head first. So I love that.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Right.
So what was your process of going from working for somebody else to I'm doing this for myself, and what is it that your company does now?
So my whole career was in agencies in Boston and then Los Angeles. And then one of my clients, Sega of America, the video game company, of Sonic the Hedgehog fame, hired me.
Which oddly enough, my girls have started watching on Netflix all of a sudden.
Awesome. You know what Sonic's middle name is, Kendra? The. FYI.
Thank you.
And so they hired me as vice president of communications. So it was my first in-house job. And I was there when it was $1.5 billion company. And then when they decided to do their last hardware platform called the Dreamcast, which is such a great platform, but basically killed the company because of the economics. So I know what's going to happen. I probably shouldn't stay for this. And then I went back to one of my first jobs in Boston had expanded dramatically. And they hired me to open up a San Francisco office for them. So I was there. That company got bought, was part of Interpublic, which is a international media behemoth. And then they said, we'd like you to start a different brand, Lee, altogether. We want you to be the president of a different brand. I thought I was going for my review in 6 months, and I showed up and they're like, we want you to start a new company. I'm like, is this a punishment or is this a reward? I'm not really sure. It ended up being a reward for sure. And I was so fortunate because I had to start a P&L, a whole company, the whole thing, with someone else's money. I was so fortunate, and I learned a lot. I made a lot of mistakes on someone else's time. I also achieved a lot for them. I went from $0 to $25 million in 2.5 years.
Wow.
It was an upturn in the business and the economy. So I rode that pretty well. Then that company got merged with another company, True North and IPG merged. And in that merger, that was in 2001. That was after the NASDAQ had imploded. And where I was, San Francisco and New York were just, reeling from the NASDAQ implosion. And they decided to go from 38 brands in PR down to 4. And my little company was so I reported to Larry Weber Shandwick, the Weber and Weber Shandwick. But so when they looked at the spreadsheet of the org charts, they're like, $150 million, $500 million, $25 million. What's that? Like, what's this little thing over here? So I knew that when that happened, they only stayed with 4 brands, and there's no way my brand was going to stay. The company was very generous to me. In 2001, people were dropping like flies, as the economy was like really reeling. And my husband, I had 2 kids at that time, and we're just figuring out that my younger son has special needs. I'm the last, basically out of 39 people at my level, I'm the last one standing. And my husband's like, don't lose your job, don't lose your job. And I was like, okay, I won't lose my job. And the company was so generous to me. They kept trying to find jobs for me. Like, I was like, I don't want that job. I don't want this job. They offered me 7 different positions.
Wow.
And finally, I took one. I took one on September 4th, 2001. And then I flew home. So a week before 9/11, I flew home on that flight. And when my son woke me up, he was 3 at the time. I guess, 3, almost 4. Mommy, Daddy's watching a movie, and the plane, flew into the building, and I'm like, I was so mad at my husband. I'm like, we have a rule, no violence. So I got up, I was fuming, and I ran into the TV room. My husband's asleep with the other baby like this, he's not even watching. And I watched the second plane go in.
Wow.
And obviously there was a huge moment in time. And, so it's a very long story, needs a cocktail. But in the end, I had been on the same plane, one of those planes a week before. I didn't like my job. I was going to have to travel over 200,000 miles a year because that's the job I had taken. Mm-hmm. And wow, it really I was like, I'm not doing this. And so 2 days later, I exercised my contract. I had a 6-week out. I had a very generous contract. My boss was so generous to me. So I was going to take a whole year off. That was my goal, and figure out my son. We had just figured out what was going, oh my gosh, he's got special needs. He's behind all this stuff. And I never taken a vacation ever, really, over 2 weeks since my honeymoon. So I was going to take a whole year off. Well, I did hot yoga for 72 days in a row, which was awesome. And that takes a long time for an Irish girl like me. So that was good. That took up some time. And then I organized my house. It was pristine. I had a laundry system. I had sock systems. I had the whole thing. And I labeled everything. And then we spent probably 4 or 5 hours a day trying to, on my son, like doing the research, talking to doctors, talking to therapists, going to all this stuff. Still a lot of time on my hands. So then I started crafting. And that's when my husband said, okay, something's wrong.
That's enough.
It was wrong when I asked I really like a book about flower arranging for Christmas. Because I really so appreciate good flower arranging, and I can't do it.
Yeah. And
he said, okay. Anyway, so we had enough money because of my contract to last the whole year. But then so that was happening, right? So basically I'm becoming an alter ego. And then we had termites. Then we had to replace our heating system. So almost 2/3 of that money got stuck into the house. And when you spend money on a house, it doesn't look any different. Ugh.
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
So frustrating. And then one day, there's a long story, but one day I had this sock moment where I said to my husband, excuse me, what is this single sock doing? What? And he's like, if you don't go back to work now, we are not going to make it. So I said, you're probably right. So I started looking for work like the one I'd had at Sega. And I was between 2 jobs. And my mom got sick. My mom was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And she was given 3 months to live. So she called me in the morning. I got on the plane. I was there by the evening. And it was very crystal clear that I could not take either of these positions because I would not be able to take those positions and be with my mother in the last 3 years of her life.
No, you're fine.
Hopefully you're editing. And just crystal clear moment, I'm going to have to start my own company because I need to have, I'm the breadwinner, like I said, and I need to have the flexibility to be where I need to be. My sisters at that time were not as, didn't have as much freedom financially or work-wise as I did. Mm-hmm. So it was very clear that I might be just the one, right? So that's when I started my company. Yeah, that's a very long story.
No, it's a great story. I love it. I love it. So I want to talk a little bit about marketing. Yeah. Because I know a lot of the ladies listening today, that's their big question is, okay, what do I do? Here I am, a one-man show, and I'm trying to attract clients in my business. So I know that you work with, on a larger scale, but kind of scaling it down. I feel like it's
same
all kind of the same. Yeah, same thing. So share with us some of your like go-to marketing tips.
Sure. So I think first of all, when you're in a business, no matter how big the size is what are you about? Like, why do you exist? Why does the business exist? Not why you. It's good if you know why you personally exist, if you know what your purpose is, and if you can align those with your business, it's even better. But like, why does your company exist? What need does it fill? How is it different? Really understand where you sit in your market. Your market could be online, it could be the whole world, or it could just be in your neighborhood, whatever it is. But what is the value you bring? What's your difference? And how will the world be better because you're in business? Write all those things down. Seriously. It could be a scrapbooking business. It doesn't matter. Every business has a purpose. Every business should be able to make the world better. And
do you have any advice on like how women or how people can figure that out? Because I think that's really kind of this broad idea. I know I'd heard a lot like, well, what is it that you provide? Like, what is like for me with my photography business, on the surface level, I was like, well, I provide people with photos. How do you, or do you have advice for how to go deeper than that?
Yeah.
How to figure out that next level?
You know what I can do, Kendra? I will send you a worksheet.
Okay.
And you can send it to your users. How about your listeners, if you'd like, or
I love that.
Whatever you want to do. I will send you a worksheet, and a worksheet helps you do this. And there's also, well, we could talk about that separately, but I will send you a worksheet. Right?
Okay.
So, but you really want to think about what are the words. If someone said, Kendra, well, here, let's just talk about you.
Okay.
So your photography business, what do you specialize in?
Weddings and boudoir.
Weddings and boudoir. And what do you do differently than the people? And obviously your work is local because you can't go everywhere, I assume. You don't travel.
Not really, no.
Not really too much.
No.
So what do you do differently than other people in the Dallas area?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, photographers, are you ready to make 2024 your best year yet? Growing a business is tough. You're following all the successful photographers and experts, soaking up their best advice and downloading all their free guides, trying to replicate their success only to come up lacking, blaming yourself when their methods don't work for you. But the truth is, it isn't you. Free content and one-size-fits-all courses can only get you so far. What you need is personalized help and guidance, but that can get expensive. Well, not anymore. I've created the perfect solution to get you personalized results for less than $2 a day. Introducing the Focus Photographer Lab, a one-of-a-kind coaching membership that gets you one-on-one results for a fraction of the cost of traditional coaching. Inside the lab, you'll find the 3 C's to success: classes, coaching, and community. With classes, you gain access to a treasure trove of pre-recorded trainings and invaluable resources. With coaching, you get monthly live trainings and Q&A sessions, along with my favorite part, the weekly one-on-one office hours, where we get to address your unique questions and challenges. And then there's the community, where you get to connect with an amazing group of talented female photographers who share your passion, supporting each other and inspiring each other to greatness. The best part is it doesn't come with an expensive one-on-one coaching price tag. You get all of that for just $47 a month. You can even try it for free for 14 days to make sure it's a good fit for you. And there is no contract and no obligation. You can cancel at any time. So what are you waiting for? Head down to the show notes and click the link to learn more and get signed up today. And let's make 2024 our best year yet. Well, with my boudoir, which is kind of my number one, I am an all-in-one, one-stop kind of thing. So they come in, it's same day. They get to have like a whole pampering experience. They get to see their images right away. There's no waiting and coming back. And I provide products that a lot of the other photographers don't offer, as far as high-end albums and prints and wall arts, things like that. But mostly it's the experience they get. Yeah.
And these women, are there men too? Mostly women.
All women.
Okay. I'm from San Francisco. You have to ask.
You never know.
So, and are these women doing it for themselves? Are they doing it for a partner? What are they doing it for? Is it a gift?
They're going to say it's a gift, but they're really doing it for themselves.
Okay. And what do they say about your experience?
That it helped them to realize how beautiful they are and to see themselves the way that other people see them.
Okay, that is what you're selling. You are not selling a photo. You are selling the power of self-love, right? The power of understanding how powerful we all are individually. And if it's boudoir, it's probably maybe a range of sexuality there. But, women's confidence in sexuality, even for people who look like they're oversexed, is so low. We are just, and, if you're a mom and you're older, my gosh, you are selling people, what you are providing to these women is confidence and self-worth, right?
Yeah.
And you probably wouldn't want to say it that way, right? But, people who, they're so excited, they think they're buying a photo and they're so excited about the experience. That is what you just have to sell, the experience, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so the words, those kinds of things, see yourself like the world does, see yourself like your partner does, see whatever it is, right? So really understanding the motivation there, right? And on a wedding, capturing, the most important thing you can do for a wedding is have photos, period. Right?
Yeah.
Period. I tell all the women who work for me, they're all like, and this cake is going to cost $10,000. I'm like, you're crazy. Put all that money on photography, right? The cake goes bad.
Yeah.
The photography doesn't, right?
Yep.
And capturing the moment is not just about the couple, right? Capturing the moment is about all the excitement of the people who are there with love for this day and this hope that this couple will last, and this couple will, with their love, be better in the world, basically. So when you understand what motivates you, so you are obviously motivated by helping these women see themselves.
Yes, definitely.
Right? Like, why does this woman keep beating up on herself, right? Why, right? So understanding those kinds of things, like why you're motivated, and then making sure that you use kinds of words that, I think empowerment is a really overused word, but what makes you different? What makes you different? I keep my own photo in my wallet. It reminds me that I'm powerful. It reminds me that I'm beautiful. It reminds me that people love me. It reminds me that I don't have to have people love me, whatever it is, right?
Right, yeah.
That kind of thing. So just figure out what it is that's motivating you and what it is that people are going to get from you. Yeah. It could be a cookie. It could be a cookie thing, right? It could be a laundry business, whatever it is. It's a laundry business that helps, people like me, like actually have clean laundry and not panic because I have no clean underwear in the house. What a service, right? So really figure out what it is you're bringing to the world. And what are the words? What are the words you want people to say about you? If you think about what you'd like people to say about you, that really helps. Yeah. I want people to say that it was unexpected. I want people to say that couldn't live without it. I want to see people to say the best service ever. I want people to say, thank God I spent the money on my photography. I want people to say whatever it is. So spend some time, journal this out. Like, what are the things you want people to say about you? This is actually a great exercise to do as a group too. If you have, friends who are in businesses, or you have friends who are trying to, all of us who have our own businesses, we have friends who are like, how can I help you? Well, let me tell you how you can help me.
Yeah.
Would you please, I'm going to host a dinner or a cocktail or whatever it is. And here's how you can help me. We're going to work some worksheets. And the worksheets are going to be, what would you say about me? Why would you come to my business? Why wouldn't you come to my business? Like the good stuff and the bad stuff too, right? And tell your friends not to be nice, right? Tell your friends to be honest. Because, if your friends can't tell you stuff, who can?
Right.
You don't want to hear it from people you don't know, right? So, but that's how people can help you, figure out these words, right? What do you want it to be? That's the most important thing you can do in this whole process is what are people going to get? What do I stand for? What is the service I'm delivering? What is the experience deliver? And what do I want people to say, right, about me and my business? And if you do all those things at the front end, again, I'm going to send you a worksheet. Don't do any marketing before you figure those things out, because marketing is hard. And most of us people who have businesses are not marketers, right? For instance, I have 2 books and I have a whole nother business around my speaking. I'm the worst marketer in the world for myself, truly. But for other people, I'm awesome. So, do that work first. It's hard, but it will pay off in dividends, right? And then, okay. So now for you, photography, you obviously you're in a competitive business and you have one occasion, which is the wedding, and then later in life. And how old are the women who come to you for the boudoir? Like full range?
Mostly 30s. Usually it's moms
30s.
who are done having kids and they want to get back to themselves.
Okay. So perfect. Right. So now you're talking about sort of 34 to 44-year-olds, probably right in there.
Yes.
So that helps you. Okay, where are those ladies? Right. They're in moms groups. They are in working mothers groups. They're in professional women's groups. They're in PTAs or whatever they're called, right? That's, they're in spin class. Hopefully they're in a walking class. They're at Weight Watchers or wherever they are, right?
Right. Yeah.
You figure out where they are. And don't spend any time on any dollar or any moment of time, because your time is as valuable as your money. And that's really what's hard for people to remember. Your time is as valuable as your money. So where are those people, right? And then from a who's getting married perspective, very easy to identify, right? That's easier than the boudoir business, I assume.
Yes.
To identify where the people are, right? But where are they, right? How far do you want to travel? Do they come to you or do you go to them?
They come to me.
They come to you. So basically, 40-mile radius from your house or your business?
Being in the Dallas area, it's probably more like 60, just because it's such a big area. But yeah.
And it could be, people could come in from 60 miles, spend a weekend or spend 2 days, do shopping, do this, you could spend, you could actually whip up a whole, spend the week or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so where are they? And then, what are you tapping into? You're tapping into, I'm done having kids. I feel ragged, right? I don't want to feel I'm tired. I'm taking care of everybody else. I'm working my butt off at work. I'm working my butt off at home. My husband is this, or my partner is that, or whatever it is. And wait a second, this is when people start realizing, holy crap, is there more in life? Been there, right?
Yeah.
Been there.
Yep.
So what are the things that you could tap into? So one, it could be, and this just identify what those groups are, right? So on Facebook is awesome for you probably. And Instagram is so important for you because it's visual, right?
Yes.
And probably Pinterest for you too. Those three places from a social media perspective, but then print, for print, local print, meaning local, maybe not the Dallas Morning News, but the local newspaper in the small towns. I mean, it's much cheaper, right?
Yeah.
But everybody reads those things. Everybody reads those things. And then if there's a parenting magazine, everybody reads those too, right? So where are they, right? And then if it's, maybe there's you have a book. You might have a book. So I would say probably Brene Brown. She's in Houston, right? So Brene Brown is all about what you're talking about. There are a lot of other people who are all about what you're talking about. I just read her book.
She's amazing.
I just read her book, The Gift of Imperfection, and which is great. So maybe Brene Brown comes out with a book, and you take that book, right? And you're like, this is what I'm about. And I'm just projecting onto you. So
yeah, no, you're right.
But this, Brene Brown has this book, and you could use, social media for a month around Brene Brown's whatever imperfection book, and say, if you're feeling this, here's something for you. And then you could tack it in with, your customers who've had that kind of experience, right? Yeah. So you always want to find things to leverage too. So I know I'm talking about lots of different things, but first you figure out who you are. Then you figure out where are the people. And then you figure out, how am I going to spend my time? Now, third, the most important piece in marketing is your email list. The most important thing is your email list. And the reason that is because you own it. Your website and your email list. Website and email list, because you own them. No one can change an algorithm on you. No one can say, oh, you're a business, start paying me money so you can show up in a feed. The most important thing you can do is do your website and your email list. And then how do you drive those things, right? So an email is, MailChimp, whatever you're going to use. I like MailChimp for small companies, but there's lots of options, right? I don't know what you use, Kendra, but you start with 2 people on your on your email list, right? And you're driving people to your website. So having a blog or having a podcast or having something on your website that is continually being updated. If you're a photographer, it could be a new shoot. It could be more, here's my last stuff, right? Or here's the last, you could say in my last 6 months, I had 5 women who would just had their second child. Or I had 4 women who just had a hysterectomy, or I had 3, whatever it is, right? You take a look at who you have and then you blog about it, right? 4 women who just had a hysterectomy. And I was so happy that they came in. I was so happy that I was able to give them this experience because, having had a hysterectomy, full disclosure, you lose this part of your body. I was very happy to lose that part of my body when it was losing. But then afterwards, it's like, oh, wow, that's different. Right.
Yeah.
And it does take some stuff away from you. It takes a lot of your hormones away. It takes a lot of stuff. And sort of being able to reconnect with being a woman who doesn't have the engine anymore. What if you had that? I mean, I'm just giving stuff up. Right. And so that could be a whole blog. Right. And when you have a blog and you're talking about stuff, showing your work, giving a point of view, connecting dots, doesn't be very long. This podcast is probably great for you. You can turn every podcast into a blog if you want.
Yep.
Then post it up and then you send it out to your email. So every time you're doing that, someone will send it along. Every time you have a customer, you add them to your email list, right?
Yep.
So that's the most important thing you can do. Your website, where you're constantly bringing your point of view through a blog or a podcast or whatever it is. It's constantly being updated. And does it every day? No, you have to do it every day. Every week would be good, right? If you can do something every week. But start with every month, right? Just start with 12 months. In 12 months of your business, take a look at the year. So from January to December, what happens in the year for that it relevant to your business? So for you, probably New Year's is a big time when people get engaged. Also Valentine's Day. Then it's like spring wedding season, like getting ready for your wedding, right? So you can look at the whole year and say, what do I need? Where do I need to be? What do I need to bring be generous with my wisdom? This is the next piece. If you can be generous with your wisdom, just give away your advice, right? You could give away, it's like Coca-Cola. They could give away their recipe. It doesn't really matter. No one's ever going to beat Coke at Coke, right? It doesn't matter if it tastes better. It doesn't matter. But if you're generous with your wisdom, how can I be generous with my wisdom? And just think about having a blog or a podcast once a month for the first year, and then take a look at the calendar and what makes most sense. Like what makes most sense over the course of the year. You could actually you can Google National Awareness Days, and you see what pops up, and it could be National Cookie Day, whatever it is, right? See what makes sense for your business. You could go for your calendar, January, February makes sense, March for the spring wedding things, and then it's wedding season. And then back to school could be a big time for you because they've had their kids all home all summer, working hard, right?
Ship them off and do something for yourself.
And do something for yourself, right? That could be back to school for you. But then you have months you don't know what to do with, right? So type in National Awareness Days and find some things for the months that you don't have anything in your calendar for. And this is now the time. I don't know when this is going to publish, Kendra, but right now, take the next 2 weeks and just figure it out. Just get a big calendar, blank calendar, figure out what makes most sense, right? So just commit yourself to 1 blog a month. If you can get to 2 blogs a month, awesome. Once a week, that's what your goal is ultimately, but don't try to do it right out of the gate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No. Don't try. You'll get overwhelmed, right? Yeah. So then, am I helping? I hope.
No, this is amazing. This is amazing. I love it.
I hope I'm helping. So, again, the most important thing is your email list, driving people back to your website. So when you do an email, don't just give the whole story, right? Don't just repurpose your blog and put it in as an email. No. Do it as here's the latest blog. And you give the first paragraph and you say, read more, and with a click, and that click goes back to a link. That link goes back to your website. So you're driving people back to your website. Again, the most important asset you have, right? Because that's where everything you do is there. Everything you stand for is there. And so that's why it's so important to say what you stand for at the beginning, because you're going to be driving everybody to your website, right? In print, so then you when you go out into the world, you want to have print materials. Everyone, I'm a big fan of mail, a big fan of snail mail, right?
Okay.
And I can't reach it right now, but I have my own stationery that when I meet somebody, every time I meet a person, so Kendra, you'll get this from me soon, I put a thank you note in the mail. I put my business card in the mail and I say, I'm so happy to meet with you. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. If I can help you at any time, right, here's my card, blah, blah, blah. And so I don't know if all your guests do that. I'm going to guess not, based on my experience being a podcast guest.
Uh-huh.
And that's how I get invited back. I get invited back because, oh yeah, Lee, God, I have a hole in my schedule. Maybe I'll call her, right?
Yeah, that's amazing.
So that kind of thing, that personal touch goes so far, so far. So when you're out in the world, right, you go to a conference, you go, and everybody hates networking. I don't know. So I'm in public relations. I don't know a soul in public relations who likes to network. Seriously. I've been doing this for a long time. Everyone hates networking, but you got to get out there. People have to see your face. You have to be places, right? So choose one a month. Okay. It's a lot about scheduling, people. Get that big calendar. Choose one thing a month you're going to do. You're going to go into the world and you're going to actually have make a postcard. Vistaprint's great. Moo.com is great. There are lots of great services, but make a postcard. You could do it on Shutterfly, right? Make it look good, have it be shiny, blah, blah, blah. If you can afford someone to do it for you, have someone, Canva is a great,
the best.
Canva, use Canva and use really good images. Go to iStockphotos.com and use good images for editorial. Buy the editorial, not the commercial, because you're not selling the images. You know that better than anybody. So, create something you're going to give away, create nice cards, use both sides of the card, right? And it's good to pay the extra $20, the extra $30 for the thicker cards because people, I like your card. And women are really good at this, right?
Seriously. And the ones that are like nice. the soft touch ones, if they feel nice in your hand, they're going to hold on to it.
They're going to hold on. Everything that people touch says something about you. So it is better to give 3 cards away that feel good, to have exactly what you want on them, than it is to give away 40 cards that are crap. Right? So you go out in the world, you're going to go to a conference, and make your goals small. Make your goals small because you can achieve those goals. Nothing's worse than going, I don't get anything done because I was going to meet 100 people, because I was going to create 500 leads, whatever it is. No, right? You're going to go to a women's networking thing. Maybe there's a women who work together, these kinds of groups. Maybe you're in a mastermind group, whatever it is, you're going to go and your only goal is to meet 3 people. It doesn't even have to be people who need your service, but meet 3 people and then and who do you want to meet, right? So you're looking at the event and you say, okay, this is an event for women who are going to get married, right? This is a wedding bridal thingamajigger. First of all, is that a gauntlet or what? But that's a gauntlet, man.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, my goodness. That's a gauntlet. So maybe you don't spend your time there because it's so a gauntlet. But there it would be, how are you going to look different? You just want to meet 3 people who may just pass your card along and then who you're going to send a little note to. So great to meet you at the show. Here's my card. If you feel, happy to give a consult to anybody, blah, 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 kind of stuff, whatever it is. So more you're generous and just have one goal, 3 people, right? Or if you're going to a networking event and it's like, okay, this is a women's networking event in wherever you live. You look at who's coming or you look at the purpose, right? And I want to meet. So whenever I go to a networking event, I want to meet a person I want to hire. I want to meet a company I want to partner with. And I want to meet a potential client, right? Those are the 3 things I always want to meet: a potential person I want to hire, a potential client, and a company I want to partner with. So if I get stuck, right, I tend to attract these people who just want to talk to me. I just say, I'm so happy to meet you. I'm actually here to meet a photographer. Do you know any photographers? Can you introduce me? And so I can divorce myself from this person,
right?
And they can help me. And then I say, oh, and who are you here to meet? How can I help you? Right. And that means you don't get stuck, but you go in with a goal of 3. And then when you're done, if you're, leave a party when you're still having fun, get your done and leave. Right. Because, there is a diminishing return on those things. The people who stay latest to those things are the organizers. They have to. Don't. Unless you're the organizer, you don't have to stay. but it's still functional for you, right? So if your goal is every month I'm going to go to one thing, every time I go to one thing, I'm going to meet 3 people, right? You will have met 36 people who can help your business in 1 year.
I love that.
You have to have
so great.
goals, right? KPIs,
Yeah.
key performance indicators, because you can spend a lot of money on Facebook ads. You can spend a lot of money on this stuff and like you have nothing to show for it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get really narrow, really specific, things that share your wisdom generously, but that aren't onerous, that get you out into the world with purpose, right? That represent you the way you want to be represented.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it is better to do one thing so well than it is to do 12 things that suck.
Yeah.
Because the 12 things that suck, people remember them what sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, that was pretty cheap. Like if you were a photographer and you gave out a card that didn't have a photo on it, or you had stuff that didn't have any photos on it, like, why would I can't see their work, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, but it's funny that because I know photographers who do that. I know photographers who have given me their card at conferences or at different events I've gone to. And it's just this little, it's a square and it's got their logo on it and it's got their information on it. I'm like, I don't know what you do.
The front could be that, turn it over and make it into a collage.
Right. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Everything you do needs to deliver your message. And particularly for small businesses, it's hard. What is the image that you want people to remember? I really advise you not to use your own photo.
Okay.
A lot of women use their own. Well, for you, you're a photographer. That'd be different. Mm-hmm. But here's me, and they have the white shirt. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
And they have their hands on their hips, and they're like, "Hi." There's 1,000 women with the same photo, right?
Yeah.
Really want to think about what is how do you talk about your service? So you might on the back use it as a testimonial. Just put a testimonial there. Or you might have a picture of your book, or you might have a picture of several different pictures of your cookies or whatever it is, mm-hmm. right? So the front can be very plain. You don't make it, this is a terrible word, classy, right? You want it to be clean and represent you. But the back, it may only be 2x3. That's a lot of real estate in today's world.
Yeah.
So what do you do in the back that's going to show you what you do? And I wish I had my card here. Do I? Yes, I do. Okay. So here's my card, right? Mm-hmm. And I just moved to Eau Claire. So it says Lee Caraher, President and CEO, with my phone number. And then it says San Francisco, New York, Eau Claire. That's where I am. And the back is my company logo. And then it says author, speaker. So I'm at Positive Corporate Culture, Multi-Generational Work, and my other website. So this is my company website. This is my other website.
Nice.
So in this, that what I do.
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty small.
Yeah.
But use every inch, mm-hmm. and white space is important. So when I say use every inch, I mean use every inch of the design. And this is where using Canva or that kind of thing can really help you. All right. So now you have a schedule. Now you're blogging once a month. Now you're going out into the world once a month and meeting 3 people. So you've added 36 people to your email list, right? So you had 100% mm-hmm. growth, which is great.
Yeah.
And then when you, things that you're going to put into your email. So once a month email, just start with once a month email. And if you're doing a blog, what I would do is the email the next week, right? So then you can refer back to the blog. So you don't have to do everything at the same time.
Right.
Right. But do the email. You can create it all. I really believe in batch processing. Mm-hmm. So here's my blog. I'm going to have an email. I'm going to put that into, I'm going to write an email, but have it go out a different day. Because if you have everything go at the same day, then then the month goes by.
Right.
Then what are the social media channels you want to be on? So depends what you're in. But for you, for instance, I would say Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, right?
Yep.
And if you are, if you're a thought leader in the situation, you're writing books and articles, all that kind of stuff, you could use Twitter, but I don't think those are as useful for you.
No.
Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. So this is where Canva is really good. Canva lets you create an image and then resize it into this. You want to make sure that the photos you use in those 3 places actually are in the format that those 3 different platforms favor, right? Because mm-hmm. if you just use the same image across all 3, it'll only show well once, right?
Yeah.
So create, what is the post? What is the post I'm going to do based on that blog? Okay. So you got write your blog. Then what's the post? What's the image you're going to use on the blog? You always want to have an image on the blog. Then how are you going to turn that into Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest post? All right. So then you go into Canva, you put it into Canva, you resize it, right? Then you automate this stuff. So you can automate this either two ways. One, in each of the formats. So go into Facebook and use the tools, or you can use a tool like Hootsuite. There are lots of different tools where you connect all these things. It's like $20 a month, and you can just program it, right? So you might spend 5 hours on this a week or even a month, frankly, write the blog, do all the stuff, and then program it out and let it go.
Yeah.
Right. And then you program the timing. So Instagram, you only want one post. Facebook, you only want one post. Pinterest, you can put it into lots of boards, right? But, focus on 3 boards at the first time. You don't want just one board into 3 boards. So, and you just want to build it over time. And what's everything doing? Driving back to your website. So the link you're going to put in everything comes back to your website. Link in bio, all that kind of stuff come back to your website. And that way, as people find you and using hashtags and all that kind of stuff, and that's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
But how do people find you? And then encouraging your customers to say good things, right? Tag this. That was a lot of conversation. I'm so sorry.
No, that was so good. Well, and that was amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah. And I love, those are all things that I 1000% believe in for my own business. Those are all things I do with my own business. You're talking about like taking the blog content. So for me, it's this podcast. I take this podcast, I transcribe it. I turn it into a blog post. I grab quotes and bits and pieces. I turn it into social media content and an email teaser, and I do all these things. And of course I'm doing it on a weekly basis, but for someone who's just starting out, it's really not as difficult as it sounds.
It's overwhelming once you start.
Right. When you start, but when you take that first step, and like you said, you get the big calendar and you decide, okay, 1 month, and you could even have like, on the first week of the month, the blog post goes out. On the second week, I'm going to have my email. Then the third week, I'm going to have, my Instagram. And then my fourth week, I'm going to have my Pinterest and Facebook or whatever. And you break it up that way, it's so much more doable. So
much more doable.
Yeah.
And if you batch process, so you create that one piece of content. So you have this podcast, and then do you use your own transcript? Do you use an automated transcription service?
I use automated, but then I go in and I read through it. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's so cheap now. I mean, it used to cost $1 zillion. Now you can get it done for less than $10,
Yeah.
So you've created a blog. So, a podcast is a ton of work, ladies, but it is the gift that keeps on giving. It is the gift that keeps on giving because it generates a blog. It generates this podcast. It generates all these quotes, all this kind of stuff, right? And you have the gift. So if you can batch process it, because this is not your business. If you're not in the world of marketing, this is not your business, right?
Right.
You have to have this function to move your business. So you have to figure out how to maximize your efficiency in this time. So if you can dedicate put a chunk of time on every week for marketing, and just don't let anyone interrupt you, right? Get the podcast done, get the blog done, get the photo, all that stuff, and then just program it into email. You can do it early and then just make a date, like you choose the date. Send this out next Tuesday. In terms of, emails, Tuesday and Wednesday are the best days to send emails out in the morning. Okay. In terms of Facebook, either early morning or late at, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. That's when you want to do it. It's when women have time to look at Facebook, right?
Yep.
Pinterest doesn't matter. Pinterest, Pinterest, what you want to do is five posts, 5 pins at a time, and just put them up 5 pins at a time, and then just keep building the library over time, right?
Okay.
And Instagram, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what time it is. More important on Instagram is that you choose something, how it's going to look, and you stick to those guidelines. So one thing you could do is say, if you have a logo, what are the colors of your logo? And then there are tools that say, okay, I can send this to you, Kendra, but okay, my logo has 3 colors in it. It's purple, gold, and green. So maybe you say your Instagram is going to be purple, green, and yellow hues. And then you can go into, when you're searching for images, if you're creating your images, you want to use those 3 hues in different different depths, right? So dark purple, dark gold, light gold, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're using images or iStock photos or creating images, you can, online, you can search for, I want to do a picture of, maybe you want a picture, I don't really recommend this, but maybe you're doing a picture of a heart, right? Your hand is a heart, but you want it to be red. We'll just put in hand and heart red in iStock, and it will show you only the ones that would fit your color palette.
Yeah.
These are simple things to do that you don't think about if you don't know about, right?
Right.
And the simpler, the better. And that's why I say, just do one. Just do one a month. So take that big calendar, 4 hours a week. You actually probably don't need that much time for once a month.
Yeah.
But and then just batch process the crap out of it, right?
Yeah.
And in the end, your goal is everything grabs your email list. So at the top of your blog, you want to have a drop down that says, it's from Sumo. You can just plug in this in to your, depending on your what the format is, but it drops in. You want to join. It doesn't show up when you first go onto the website, but it drops after you've been there for 10, 15 seconds, and it says, join our newsletter, right? And then the newsletter, you could have a flash sale just for your newsletter, right? Which you put into this dropdown. We're having a flash sale. Anybody who you could even say returners 20% off. Or if you're a customer, buy one, get one. Or whatever, beat BOGOs, or whatever it is. So, that's where you can use a lot of, because you're, again, driving people to your website. That's where you can use those tools. And it doesn't have to generate a lot of business. It has to generate interest.
Yeah. Because
that's the awareness. It's very seldom that you're going to advertise or do a blog exactly when the customer needs it. Right. Very seldom. So just how do you keep top of mind? Oh yeah, I had that code. Oh yeah, I had this thing. Just, that kind
I
of
love
thing.
the email capture. And that's my one thing. If I could go back and to give myself advice when I first started my business, it would be start an email list sooner, because I didn't know, I didn't know any different. And at the time I didn't have a MailChimp. I just had my Gmail account. And I was like, how do you even do an email list in Gmail? That's so frustrating.
Right.
So, type in all the emails. And so I wish I had known earlier, but I've found that I use ConvertKit right now.
Oh yeah.
And I've created, little opt-ins, various opt-ins for my website.
Good.
So at the end of every blog post for example, my wedding blogs.
Yes.
If I do a wedding article, and all of mine are usually informational. So it's things like
sharing your wisdom, being generous.
So here are the 5 best, bridal salons in the DFW area. And I give a little description. I tag them and I link to theirs. And at the bottom, it'll say something like, download your free stress-free wedding planning guide or whatever.
Love it.
And you set it and forget it. Once it's done, I go in, I check my ConvertKit probably a couple times a week, and I've always got new emails coming in because, I'm not having to do anything to get those other than share my
ConvertKit. I love ConvertKit. Yeah. And I think that's what is your wisdom you're going to share? What brings value to your customers, to your potential customers, that's adjacent to your business, right? Yeah. And you've just talked about the adjacencies, right? You're not giving away photography, but you're giving away, how do you get the best photo? Well, go get the best hair.
Yep.
Right. Those kinds of things where you can be valuable. We're all looking, 99% of us are looking. I don't have an original thought in my head.
No.
Kendra. I can identify good ideas, right?
Yeah.
So I'm good at what I do for my business, but we don't have to recreate the wheel, right? There's no reason. And most of us are looking for experts to tell us what to do. Give me 5 to choose from. Oh my God, right? It's so overwhelming to find things.
Yes.
And the more you are helpful, the more you're giving, the more you're generous with your wisdom, the more clients you're going to have, period.
Yeah.
Period.
So good. Thank you so much. This has been so helpful and so much incredible information.
Talking.
No, it is a podcast. You have to talk.
It's true. You have to talk. I know, but still. Oh my God. Kendra didn't get a word in edgewise.
Oh, I don't need to talk on this one. It's all you. It's all you. Well, what I love is that you have basically just reiterated everything I've been telling the listeners for
there
a long
you
time.
go.
So you, the expert, have now backed up my statements and my claims to them. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
But I really, really appreciate it. And thank you for taking time out of your busy day to chat with us. And definitely we will have you back on for sure sometime in the future. So first
you
of all,
mean I don't have to send you a little card? No.
Yeah.
I'm still going to send you a little card.
I want my card in the mail. Well, before we go, tell everybody where they can find you, how they can follow you, and learn more about you.
Yeah. So lots of places. Probably the best place to go is my website, www.leecaraher.com. LeeCaraher.com. You can find my agency Double Forte, and you can find my blog there. I talk about this stuff all the time, and I'm sorry you can hear my dog. And you can follow me on Twitter at Lee Caraher, at Facebook Lee Caraher1, and on Twitter at Lee Caraher.
Perfect. And I will link to all of those in the show notes, so they will be able to easily just go to the show notes, click on them, and they'll find you right away. So,
and I will send you that worksheet.
Yes, thank you.
And you can put that there too, and that's yours to share.
Thank you so much. We'll have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
I hope you were taking notes, because that seriously was like a marketing masterclass in under an hour. Lee's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of your expertise and knowledge with us. I truly believe that everything we talked about in this interview is 1000% what helped me to grow my business. I know it can help you grow your business, and it's what I'm using to continue to grow both my businesses today. So I am just blown away by all of the incredible information in this episode. Again, I hope you were taking notes, or make sure that you come back and listen to it when you have a chance to sit down with pen and paper and really keep track of all of the little amazing nuggets of information that she shared. All right, ladies, so this wraps up our series on healthy habits. So we've talked a lot about goal setting, healthy habits you should implement into your life and your business, how having a healthy body helps you have a healthy business. We talked about our fashion habits and how dressing to feel really good can make a difference in how we present ourselves to the world, as well as how we feel about our own selves. And then, of course, all of the amazing marketing habits that we got today from Lee. And so I hope you've had a wonderful start to the new year, and I cannot wait to jump into February, and we're talking all about social media. All right, ladies, have a wonderful week. I will see you back here next week, same time, same place. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to click the subscribe button so you never miss when a new episode goes live. Then head over to iTunes and leave a quick review to let other people know just how much you loved it. Thanks, ladies. See you next week.